higher and higher. For 5 years, home prices only went in one direction, straight up. Cheap money and a floundering stock market fueled a frenzy. But the party's over. Tens of thousands of condos are sitting empty and unsold. A building boom in the west and south, but not enough buyers. And town after town with just too many homes for sale. Tonight, the big question on everyone's mind. Will your home ever be worth more than it is right now?
This is your CNBC Survival Guide. Real Estate. What now? Live from CNBC Global Headquarters. Here now, Bill Goodman.
Thank you and good evening. Tonight we want to talk about what has really been the great American obsession for the past 5 years, real estate. Now we've invited an audience of our regular viewers who have come armed with the kinds of questions that you would ask, whether you're a buyer or a seller or an investor in real estate. Now, if all of this seems familiar, it was just over 1 year ago that I stood right here in this very hall hosting a program called The Real Estate Boom. What a difference a year makes. Look at this. Back then, we were talking about the hottest cities on the map: San Diego, Las Vegas, Boston, Miami. Home price increases there up 8%, 10%, 7%, 30+% respectively. But the tide has turned, obviously, and so have the price forecasts. San Diego down 4%. Las Vegas down 8.2%, Boston down just over 1%, and Miami down 2.5%. In fact, that's where we begin this evening in South Florida, where Diana Olick is on top of this bottoming market. Good evening, Diana.
Good evening, Bill, and we've said it all along, the hotter the market, the harder it will fall, and no place is that more true than right here in overheated, overbuilt Miami, where condo sales have now dropped 25% from a year ago. We are in the beautiful blue condos, a brand new building high atop the Biscayne Bay. This building was 100% pre-sold before it was built, 345 units. Half of those units are now back on the market for sale or up for rent with very little foot traffic coming through them. Why? Because in Miami, there is no longer any such thing as a one-of-a-kind condo. 34 stories above the heart of downtown Miami.
I'm not going to say anything to you. Stand right here, take a panoramic view. You tell me what makes this unique.
Lyle Sharif is giving his $1 million penthouse condo the hard sell.
Everything that you're looking at that really is in view of this starts at probably $800 to $1,000 per square foot. This unit we're selling for as little as $500 per square foot. It's a real value.
It's 2,000 square feet with a 300-degree view through 27 panes of hurricane-proof glass. The only thing you can't see here is a buyer. So why has it been on for 3 months?
Because the traffic's not there. People are not looking. They're waiting.
It's the same story all across this crane-filled landscape where condos are beginning to outnumber palm trees and realtors are using words like desperate.
Today, people are having to reduce their prices 10, 15, 20% in some cases, back to 2004 pricing.
In Miami-Dade County, there are approximately 70,000 new condo units under construction, 25,000 more units announced. You have all these units. You're pointing crane, 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 crane. That's all yours, and you're not concerned.
I mean, I wake up concerned.
And multi-billion-dollar developer George Perez probably should be. Most of those cranes are working for him.
What type of funding?
He built the bulk of South Beach's condos and now has 11,000 units under construction in Miami proper.
Do you expect to lose any money on any of your projects here?
I never expect to lose money, but are we prepared to? Yes. So am I concerned? I'm more concerned on the jobs that I am selling now that I haven't started construction, in which some I might have to make a decision to shelve them.
Now, George Perez says he still sees some money on the sides of these waters. He still believes there's money in Miami, but he says he's got to change his marketing strategy now because it's going to take a couple more years to get to that money. He's going to have to go out after the buyers, not wait for them to come here. He's going to go out domestically as well as internationally. He says that is the heart of Miami, is the international buyer. That's where the money is, Bill.
But wait a minute, Diana. What happened to all the investors we'd heard about that were keeping the liquidity in that Miami market not too long ago?
Well, you use that lovely word, investors. We tend to call them flippers. These were people who came in from out of state, from anywhere in the country, saw this booming market, and immediately bought. The flippers are gone. They are history. Now we're back to the regular buyers, back to a normalization, and the realtors here have to start pricing things for normal people, not for the flippers. They're gone.
Diana Olick in Miami, thanks very much. Now let's meet the members of our all-star panel who will be with us throughout the hour tonight. Joining us this evening, Robert Schiller, the Yale University professor of economics, founder of Macro Markets, which helped create a futures and options market for single-family homes. David Larray, the senior vice president, chief economist at the National Association of Realtors. Thomas Kuntz, who's the chief executive officer of realty giant Century 21, and Bob Moulton, he's the president of the Americana Mortgage Group. And I should point out, by the way, we invited the CEOs of all the big publicly traded home builders who have become very familiar faces here on CNBC. We'd hope that at least one of them would join us this evening, but every one of them declined our invitation. David Larray, let's start with you. How would you assess this market? We look at a map of the sales declines that we've seen year over year right now. What's your assessment of this market right now?
Right now, this is a tale of two markets. We have the boom markets that are cooling, and that's primarily on the West Coast and the East Coast. And then in the middle of the country, we have real estate markets that are actually picking up and gaining momentum as we speak.
To the upside or the downside?
The upside. Cincinnati, Albuquerque, Houston, Dallas. These are cities that are actually picking up activity, and there's some good, strong demand for real estate there. But clearly, the boom markets of the last 5 years are cooling down. And as we mentioned a year ago, when we had this town hall meeting, we were, with fingers and toes crossed, we were hoping for a soft landing. And from my vantage point right now, we're starting to see that soft landing.
Tom Kuntz, earlier today here on CNBC, the chief economist at Merrill Lynch, David Rosenberg, talked about what he sees as a glut of inventories in the real estate market and the impact that could have on the economy. Let's listen to what he had to say. Watch.
We have never had such an overbuilt, over-owned, and over-leveraged, now oversupplied housing market. I mean, the unsold inventory of unsold homes and condominiums is up 35% year over year. It's never been that high on a 12-month run rate before.
He says it could lead to recession. Do you agree? And do you agree with his assessment of the inventories that are out there?
Well, absolutely the inventory has increased, but we have to keep in mind what it increased from. I mean, we just came out, as you spoke, that we had one of the greatest markets ever, and inventory was very low. So we are normalizing the marketplace. Buyers have more homes to take a look at, and I think things are still not that bad off.
Bob Moulton, the kinds of mortgages that people have been taking out, for the most part, they've been the ARMs and some of the more exotic mortgages in the last few years compared to what we saw in the 1990s when it was a very different kind of market, especially with the kind of mortgages people were taking out, yes?
We've seen a lot of creative products come out over the last 5 years. Over the last 5 years, the housing market has increased in their prices each year, and that's attributable to a lot of the exotic mortgages that have come out, such as your interest-only mortgages. Your traditional mortgage will lend 3.5 times income, but now with these products, they're coming out with 5 times income and 6 times income, enabling the borrower to buy more house. So it has been an interesting past 5 years.
To say the least, which we'll talk about a little bit more. Professor Schiller, you have foreseen something like this coming. Is there more to come, or how do you see where we are in the cycle on real estate at the moment?
Well, I think your segment was very good in focusing on construction. Prices have gotten very high, and so builders have an opportunity, and they have created a supply. So the fraction of GDP that is residential investment is at almost a record level. You have to go back to 1950 to see as much construction as a fraction of GDP as in the last year.
Is that such a